This is Ichiro Machino, the founder of eCommunicators.com, and some of you may remember the last interview in which I interviewed Mr. Daria turkovskaya about her life, both in her hometown and also in Japan. And today she is kind enough to come back and talk about her very precious experience in her original birthplace, which is Soviet Union, and the Kiev was your birthplace, the hometown.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And I understand you had there some disastrous nuclear reactor explosion.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes.
And she is kind enough to talk about that and give her very precious lessons to us. Could you explain what happened when? How did you find the explosion happened for the first time?
For the first time, what happened was the government did not want to tell people because of mass panic and people did not know about it, but obviously you could see that there was something wrong outside, something really wrong outside. According to my mother, when she was taking my sister for a walk, my sister was just born, so she was in the crib, and my mother said that there was nobody outside, and the atmosphere was very strange, and she saw only one lady on the street, and the lady told her to go home immediately because there is a disaster.
That was in Kiev, you mean?
Kiev, yes.
The Chernobyl was in a city called, what was the name of the city?
All I remember, it was about 100 kilometers away
from Kiev.
From Kiev.
So even in Kiev, nobody was on the street.
No. When it happened, the atmosphere just changed. Like during daylight, everything was kind of dark, and there was no like birds on the trees. Everything just went silent and quiet, and you could feel there was something in the atmosphere.
That was what month was that?
That was in
springtime or not summertime yet, right?
It was 26th of. I think it was. I can't remember the exact date. If I'm not correct, 26th of
August or something. So it is around summertime or before summertime.
Yes. My memory is not quite clear about the season.
Of course. So that was when you were 6 years old. So you were
6 years old.
in elementary school.
That's right. Yes.
So, but you had just a usual daily life until then, right?
Yes.
And so one day you kind of realized, and your mom told you something is strange about people in the town in Kiev.
People started to realize that there was something wrong, and it was Belarus who notified the authorities because the wind was blowing when the Chernobyl disaster happened. It was blowing towards Belarus, and Belarus detected extremely high levels of radiation, and that's how it became clear. And people were in mass panic when that happened.
As far as you can remember, how the governmental officials reacted to it?
At first they tried to
Hide?
and cover it up as if nothing happened to, of course, avoid chaos and panic. But eventually people had to be evacuated because it was very dangerous to remain in so close. So we were placed in a town called Uzhgarad.
It was how far from the city of Kiev?
I'm not exactly sure, but on the plane, by plane it was 4 hours on the airplane. So we flew,
4 hours?
Yes, we flew there.
So it's kind of far away, really far away from Kiev.
Quite far, just to stay and recover after being exposed and getting sick. And you still get sick, of course.
People already had developed some symptoms from the radiation. Then, how about your family suffered any kind of symptom?
Yes, it did not. The straightaway effects were extremely high fever.
High fever?
I remember having bouts of high fever, and even if you call an ambulance, they can't do anything for you. So, also, hair starts to fall out
Really?
as well, a little bit, and you kind of see like black spots in the air. It's the radiation penetrating through you, so you kind of see black spots.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That's really horrible.
Yes, it was very, very confusing and scary and very.
Yeah, when you were still so young.
So young, and you could feel that people were in turmoil and chaos. And
How typically people reacted to it? You know, they kind of get panic.
yes, panic, and just had to evacuate and get on. Buses were prepared, and sometimes people would not know where they are taken. In our case, we had a very nice hosting family that decided to take us in.
Sorry, I forgot the name of that city.
The city Uzhgarad.
Uzhgarad.
Yeah, so we stayed there, and
You didn't consult any doctor or anyone about your symptoms?
of course,
You did.
but there was not much could be done, and people were also given iodine tablets to minimize the damage to the thyroid. So after staying in Uzhgarad,
But when you got that iodine tablet, how long it took for them to get you them iodine?
it took quite a while actually. It wasn't straight away. Yes, it wasn't straight away.
So, to you, how they means I mean governmental officials could react better. You think they what they should have done to minimize or reduce the sacrifice of people.
Well, it's difficult to say, but I think an emergency evacuation should have been organized, and people should have known what has happened to make decisions of what to do from now on.
So you mean they should give you more information about maybe both the situation, the real situation of the reactor, but at the same time what they are going to do with the residents. For example, where they are taking you to.
Yeah.
Or maybe something, what kind of things you can expect.
Yes. Well, there were shelters organized, and people were taken as far as possible. Some people didn't even know where they were going to go, but just to get out was inevitable. Getting out was inevitable.
So, whole people living in Kiev left the town?
Most people did. Some people they left for a while and then they returned. They have returned.
Now, what's going on now? Kiev, people now live in Kiev.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So the situation and the life back to normal.
It is back to normal. There are, of course, zones of exclusion where you cannot go more than 15 minutes because the radiation is still very, very high.
In Kiev?
Not
here, but near a more closer area to Chernobyl.
Yes, on the outskirts of Kiev.
I think it was back in 1986. It was already Gorbachev was in power as president of the Soviet Union, and he was trying to promote some kind of a new policy to liberate the Soviet Union system, I guess. And actually, this incident influenced his policy, I guess. What do you have any opinion about it?
To be honest, I don't know what to make of it. To be honest.
So you have no impression about him or his policy or his regime?
Well, the USSR collapsed, and after that, it was chaotic. So we were very happy to leave the country and go to Mexico.
So you left for Mexico after the collapse of Soviet Union.
Just before.
So everything was going to take power.
That's right.
Back then.
That's right.
Okay. So how your family decided to leave the country?
Well, after a year of waiting. We waited in Moscow as well for a year. My parents got a contract to play in the orchestra of Mexico, and with this contract we went to Mexico without knowing the culture and knowing the language, and did not know what to expect at all. And start there from the scratch. Yeah.
But even back then, living in Moscow wasn't so dangerous, in terms of radioactive influence, right?
It was still high, and
Even in Moscow.
Yes, and it wasn't
Really?
desirable.
Really? Wow. We didn't know that.
The whole Europe was affected.
So even in Moscow, people were influenced by some kind of radioactive things, particles or something.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Whole Europe, Belarus was not affected.
So, generally speaking, people knew about the influence. People around you, people generally knows about the influence
The influence
of radioactive.
At the time, nobody knew what the long-term consequences would be. Nobody knew what the long-term consequences would be. Nobody had any idea. So there were many research centers also established and founded to do research, like long-term research, what would happen in the long term.
So, but your parents decided to leave the country, right? Basically, that's part of the reason why they maybe applied for maybe entering, working in different countries.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, that's right.
So that was your father or your mother?
Oh, my father.
Your father. So your father learned a lot about those influences.
Yes. Yes. He had few connections, and we were advised that it would be best to leave for a while until the situation is better.
Wow. How did you when it was still when you were so young, but how did you feel about it? You had to leave the hometown first, and then you had to leave the country. I think it's really must have been hard for you, but what did you? So
it wasn't easy being uncertain, and there were big changes, of course, and it had to be taken in so quickly. So I think I had no choice but to cope with it. It was confusing, it was difficult, and it was very scary, but I think at that time, the best possible solution was to leave and start new, and that was exciting too. I think that it had some excitement, of course.
So one day you took a plane and went to Mexico?
With family, my sister, my father, my mother, and we arrived to Mexico without knowing many people.
Wow.
Spent in Mexico for 2 years.
How was Mexico?
Mexico was quite different, very exciting actually,
really?
very exciting, very exciting. I loved the festivals they had, and we also picked up Spanish, Mexican very quickly. We went to school there. My sister was in kindergarten. I was in primary school, so picked up Mexican and made friends and.
So you had a mix of friends, huh?
Yes, I had Mexican friends. Yes. To this day, we keep in touch with some people.
So you spent 2 years?
That's right.
In Mexico.
Yes.
So then your father, your family decided to came to Japan.
To go to Ishikawa Ken, Kanazawa.
Why was that?
My father got an offer to play in an orchestra, viola, soloist. So he took that offer, and we decided to make a move. And saying goodbye to Mexico was quite sad because already made friends and started to pick up the language and kind of settled, and so that was another big change.
But so your father or your mother had some idea about what it is like to live in Japan?
No, I had absolutely no idea.
So that's kind of brave of him.
Yes, very big move, very big move. So we arrived, and there were very kind people that showed us Japanese way and how things work and the rules, and helped us to find a suitable home, and also school and pre-primary school for my sister.
So actually, you learned some Japanese then?
Yes, I was actually attending international school and also being homeschooled to keep up with Russian, and of course with Spanish or Mexican. So partly international school and partly homeschool.
Kind of busy.
Yes, busy schedule. Busy schedule. I think it's good for the kids to keep them busy.
Really?
To have a busy schedule.
But so you never remembered what happened in Chernobyl in here?
And yeah, I do remember.
You did when you were in Mexico, and you of course in Japan too. Well, what kind of things you remember most?
Well, when we came back from Uzhhorod, we were evacuated, we noticed that the size of plants were abnormal.
You mean you came back to Kiev?
Yes.
You did?
Yes,
So
came back to Kiev, and after that left to Moscow. We had noticed that sizes of plants were abnormally big. Big, abnormally big. Just not normal. And people who had farms had some cows and pigs were more deformed.
Oh, really?
Because genetic mutation causes some kind of deformalities. They were quite grotesque, to be honest. Grotesque.
And so you still remember?
I
You
still-
saw the deformed animal or something?
Yes, I
You
have
did.
seen. My grandmother said not to look, but the kids are curious. They want to look, so I had a look.
This one, what exactly you saw?
I saw a little piglet with two heads.
Really? Very big deformation.
And the sizes of plants. One sunflower plant was
That's it.
huge, huge.
Wow. Well, maybe we should be happy, but that's because of the radiation. Maybe not so happy.
And our parents got radiation detector, and whenever we went shopping, just and nothing was safe to buy. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh, you mean food?
food, locally supplied fresh produce safe.
So, do you think, because then, if the food or everything are contaminated with radiation that much, that of course influence Russian people generally.
Oh, of course.
You have any idea what kind of influence they got, for today?
Until today. Well, until today, some people still struggle with